Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Now, showing you 25 seconds of combat in low sec was definitely something I didn't want to do. 25 seconds of combat and me trying to fix up a ship would have been a total disaster. Now, obviously, if you go back on my channel, you will see that there are the builds. There's perfect builds, there's final builds, there's a whole lot of them all set around as you would want to do them in the game. And that is one of the things that I used to love making for my channel, and you'll see that I basically use one of my builds here for this current situation that I'm in. Obviously this is a little bit different. This is a rebuild of a ship, so yeah, here we go. Insurance is quite the helper, and this is something which I would have definitely loved to have shown. Wait, you're going to get to see me reclaim the ship if I am correct. You will see that I pause it because I want to make sure that I'm not showing any offensives and any of my kill logs in terms of this here. Something I don't want to show. Actually, my kill logs will look really terrible at this point because there was a whole period when I stopped PvP altogether. And I was also very merciful in PvP. I'd have a guy in a Dremio, I have a guy in a Cinnabar. I definitely couldn't beat the Shimo. But if you're looking at it, I got hit by 3 guys in high level ships. Now, as you can see, I have really low value weapons on the ship. I realized I could actually upgrade a little bit. I was looking at what was lost, looking at what was slotted on the ship. You can see the total value for this vessel was 281 million. If it wasn't for the insurance, this year would have been greater than I could afford. Remember, I have 60 million at this point, so whew. Okay, right, let's go for this. I decided to have a look at who it was who attacked me, just for a quick show. Care Bears with guns. Remember, they were all party PvP focused. They got booted out of the high level areas because they weren't capable of actually being a proper PvP corp. They were really weak. They preyed on the weak players. That was their number one way of doing things. Remember, I had a lot to say about these things. The Care Bears were really quite nice guys, but when it came to PvP, I really didn't like PvP because they said it was destroying things. As you can see, I'm looking through the history. You can see this is the old company, right? It's a branch of Red. Now I'm going to go to the next one. Let's look at it. So gently hit the orifice. You can see they're using real high power weapons. The reason for it is quite simple. If they go in there without anything super high powered against regular players like myself, and here is one of the worst ones, Pew. This is Tahani's corporation. You know that he was a big time PvP player, but this is something else that makes it even more hilarious to look at it overall. When you look at all of these players put together, they all come from corps and companies who got their butts kicked in PvP, and they are now sitting in low sec where you have PvE content and where you have non-combatants. And by non-combatants, I mean you have people who aren't going to really blast you with high-end weapons. You can see what was left of it. I'm actually looking through my modules, and I will actually start rebuilding the shop soon in this video. I just have to make sure that I have the right configuration on my vessel. I don't want it to be too long, so I'll just show you how long this takes. 18 more minutes in case you want to see the process of it. Now, I do know what I generally recommend, but I do change some of my fittings because of where I deploy these ships. As I said, you have different formats, and I give like 3 or 4 different options for fittings generally, and this is one of those times where I chose things sorry, where I show one of those things that I generally wouldn't. Now I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna look at what they say. I've already lost Field bonus amount 30%, right? So I know there is going to be one of those that I always said. Time adjustments, these are all things that I generally go for. Minus 20%, I generally didn't like using that there. Shield boost amount 30%. This is economizer again. Enable capacitor need adjustment minus 20%. That's a massive one once more. Can let you stay totally self-sufficient in full defense. Sorry about that, I just dropped my keyboard. So let's have a look at this. Going into the watch. Right, going back into combat, I already know that this section is free. You can see the number of insurance certificates I have. I have a ton, right? I spent hundreds of thousands on it because I intended to have my ships blown up non-stop. I did intend on that. I wanted to test if they improve things quite a bit, but obviously they haven't, right? You can see that some of my modules were really low and really lacking. I installed them nonetheless. Right, let's go on to it. Alright, so here we go. Now I just put these on because they T1s. They really low value. They don't have much to worry about, and there is just the reality behind them. So yeah, here we go. Now I'm gonna look through my items. I know that the C types are generally very powerful. I want them on. They aren't the very best right now. I do know that there is the upgrade to B type and A type, which are crazy expensive, and I'm not yet ready to purchase either one. Moving through, next C type was on, and here is where everything changes. I'm actually gonna go look through my market right now and try and obtain some better modules. I knew that I could upgrade some pieces because this ship was rebuilt. It was rebuilt when I had less than 10 million to rebuild it. So yeah, it was quite the heavy rebuild. So here we go, looking through. 190 million for B type. That's quite a heavy jump up, and it's more than I have. It's more than I have by leaps and bounds. I'm definitely not wealthy enough. The C type, I'm looking for the cheapest. They're all just about the same. There isn't much of a difference between each of the various C types. So I'm just going to purchase it. And there I go. I used to always run C-type in my defense. It's one of the best things. I'm going to look through this. I look at the top of it. I see Patriot is there. I have a Patriot shield extender. Nothing else I can do. I'll reinstall it onto my ship. Alright, so here we go. Shield hardness. I don't want that, I want the adapter. B-type, crazy expensive. C-type, not that bad. You're looking at 1.9 mil. It's not too heavy. I can actually purchase it. Right, let's go for that. And let's install it. So right now you're getting to see the fitting up of the ship. I do make a mistake at one point here. You're gonna see where I make the mistake. I really struggle with this. I'm trying to push it in, trying to pull it and drop it, pull it and drop it. It just won't pull. And since I already have this MK7, all I've got to do is cultivate a backup and everything will be fine for me. Okay, let's have a look. So here we go, and I upgraded it. Obviously MK9, it's a massive difference. It's as high as I can go. I know that I can't use the max level with the crazy stuff. And let's see, what else am I going to put on? Target painter, maybe I can upgrade my stasis webifiers. Need to have a look at those things. Now don't mind where my value is, right? If you look at the station, I have over 2 billion in ships sitting here. I've lost over 3 or 4 billion worth of ships outside of insurance. I tried to check up on the difference between the two prices and it was crazy, right? I wanted to go all the way to Predator. That's insane. Now I look back, I see Interruptor, I see Republic, right? I'm going to look at it, 57%, right? Let's see what's the next one. The difference does make a difference overall. Knocking 3% from something that goes 1,500 with a double web makes a huge difference overall for that fight. There's it, 60%. And I want to see what's the difference between that. It's also 60%. So they're all the same price. Let's have a look at the Predator, obviously. There's nothing. Okay. So let's see, Republic Fleet Stasis Webifiers. I need 2. I do have 2 of the other ones. Not gonna make that much of a difference. And here we go. Next thing on, target painter. If I can improve my target painter, that would have been a big thing. Any little boost to your damage makes a huge difference down the line. You can see I've really spent a heavy amount over here. Electronic warfare. Right at the bottom is target painters. So I have to go down this entire list. They're absolutely inexpensive. Purchasing one will make no difference. And there you go. As you saw, I couldn't get anything better, really. The the change in power was insignificant for the total that I had. So yeah, there you go. Quick and easy. Now I'm looking at the muscles. I have Undertaker as my highest level. So straight back to fittings. Let's have a look at the market. If you can increase that figure even by 1 or 2, and that is per second, that makes a big difference. Remember, 60 times 1 is 60 more damage per minute. You can outlast a much bigger fleet with that. You've already seen the fast run with the weaker weapons. I've improved them this time. So there we go, mediums. Having a look at this. C-type here isn't too expensive, so I'm looking at it. It's 36.7 per second. Is it really going to be an improvement? No. So I drop down. C-type is super expensive, right? You can see that's a major jump up. I'd love to have had a B-type or an A-type, but they're just so far out of my reach. I'm thinking about that purchase. As you can see, it's quite a big increase in spend. I'm having a look and they're crazy. Right, they're so far higher than they should be. Nothing I can do, so I just drop down. It's 2 less than the other, so let's see what the prices are on this market. And once more, way too high for me, and it's too few. So where do I go? This is where I went. 4 million to upgrade by just that little bit. I need all 7, right? So yeah, here we go. As you can see, I have 54. With that, 27 million is gone. Instant knock, I'm down to 26. I'm still not done upgrading the ship. There's 1 or 2 items that don't make any difference when you purchase them, whether they're active or inactive. So once this is fitted up, I'm going back into my engineering. I have some things to improve. Obviously the ship needed some improvement, right? There was 1 or 2 things that were literally just that little bit off. They make that slightest bit of a difference. If you can improve it, you can improve it. End of story. I wasn't able to do the full range of improvements that I wanted, but you'll see what I mean as soon as I get to it. Totally worthless, so I'll go back into the market and upgrade to a higher level. Semiconductor memory. Obviously this is where the price really shoots up on me and I can't really recover from it. I already know the auxiliary thruster is part of this package. So here we go, engineering grades. Navigation. I can't get auxiliary thruster tools, they're way too expensive. Just had to double check. 80 mil as the start. It's insane. So drop down to electronics. I'd love to have gone to semiconductor 3s. They make a massive difference. So purchase the lowest value, purchase the next one. I know that it destroys the module. Nothing that can be done about that. It's inexpensive. It's under $1 million. It's a joke. So there we go. 2 are up. I'm gonna double check something. Right. There is the shop. It's still worth its old 280 mil. Trust me. I've double checked that with insurance, but that was quite the hit to have taken. Going back into the character screen, looking at where the ship was, it took quite a big upgrade, to be honest, and it still isn't fully functional. It still needs a lot more to that upgrade. And looking at this is what I lost. Now, when you go over all of this, there are several things to note. Because that area had a 4.5 million mission, right? 4.5 million is quite a big improvement. It's a 30-minute mission, so obviously it takes up the same slot as 2 missions. There's a 2 million bounty, just a little bit more than 2 million. That makes it overall worth 6 million for half an hour. 6 million, 30 minutes. On the other side, it's just about the same. It's just the traveling that you have to add to it that really knocks you off. But it's thanks to these types of corps, these types of players, that the game is really on its downward spiral. If you think about it carefully, if it wasn't for guys like Pew and Tahani and all of their PvP crazy hooligans in low sec, right now I'm gonna call them hooligans, there's a reason for it. If it wasn't for them being in low sec, the game would be so much easier. Players would have a lot easier of a time when it came to actually playing the game. You can see where I am. I am in low sec. Low sec used to be safe inside these missions because they were privately generated. You couldn't get into them and just jump in with a quick scan. Now they are playing multiple accounts. They camping out systems. They're doing all these ridiculous things. In a system with 6 people, this is 4 of us from their entire system. They're incapable of fighting on their own. That guy with this big Cinnabon would get destroyed by the Drake, right? End of story, his ship isn't strong. He isn't a very good player. That's why they need these big teams. Without somebody else to help them, they just get devastated. Next, you have the guy in the Orithus. Now, the Orithus is a fantastic ship. If it had to fight me one-on-one, I most likely would lose. I'm not even going to deny it. The Orithus is a beauty of a ship. I've played it in T10 Dead Space. Trust me, it's a ship that can take a T10 Dead Space on its own. It's that powerful. The Ashimu is also another beast. I don't think I'd beat it because I'm so heavily reliant on my capacitor. The capacitor batteries would throw him off quite a bit because the moment they go up, there's going to be the massive shielding he has to get through. It will really impact the way that he fights. Plus, he has lasers, so shields are really his top priority on destruction. He's going to eat through me like I wasn't even there. So the Cinnabon guy could never win on his own. That's how come he's here with the other two. The Orithus guy could win on his own, but because his ship is worth so much, he's there with the protection. The Ashimu guy could beat me. He could beat 90% of the players who came up against him, but because he's an inept pilot, he's with the crew. Now, I am insulting him a little bit, and there is a reason for that insult. It's because this is the problem with opening out low sec to PvP in this form. Honestly, scanning should not have been allowed in the Empire space, or whatever they call the space where the central government, Concord space. They should not have allowed it in Concord space. The simple reason is, in Concord space, they should have a jamming on all of that technology, just like they didn't allow us to drop warp bubbles in low sec. The reason for it was quite simple. Those modules do not work They help keep the game running. By deploying these modules in low sec, by interfering with this here, they have caused their economy crash. Remember I showed you the transport system where I only made 100,000? I actually did something similar way back before I stopped making videos, and I made something like 20 million of a single trip with my terrible trip, as it would be, on a straight line trip. And that was something which was unbelievably difficult to do. As I said, I made 20 million. The reason for it was before they introduced this low sec opening to combat, people used to play a lot. People had a lot of space to play in. They had a lot of fun. You could get together with a team of your friends. You sit inside this bubble of space that nobody else can enter. It's your safe spot. You just sit outside of the limit of the ships, and you can sit there day and night. You can't deploy stations. You can't do any of that. There's nothing to worry about. With scanners, stations aren't hidden anymore. You can get to a station anywhere, anytime. They show up like big blobs on a radar. There's no hiding stations. There's no secret spots within a system. All of these things have been taken out from the beauty of deployment, and it's kind of crazy when you think of it, because these are all things that could have been solved if they had implemented a little bit of a better monitoring, a little bit better of a monitoring program on low sec. Obviously, low sec having dead spaces was good enough for PvP. When a dead space showed up, all these PvP players would go crazy, right? It was something that was generally very well thought of. It had a good enough flow to it, but this is just the pits of it, right? It isn't very well thought out, right? They've implemented way too many systems for the close range play. You have to face off against players in low sec, which is just a small little portion of this entire map. Then in order to get to null sec, because now there's not just 20 jumps for you to be guarded, not 20, there's not just 10 jumps for you to be guarded on, you have to do 20 jumps for guarding. They've ruined the entire play system that they set up. It's something that the NetEase devs have always been short on. I'm not about to change my tune just because I jumped back on the game, right? I jumped onto the game to have some fun. Criticism will not go away. It is part of the stuff. Anybody who goes on with, no, you must commend them on what they're doing things right, yes. The game is still playable. I'm just doing this here because it is a playable game. It's good for the social aspect. I've already joined the co-op, which makes things even more difficult for me because I'm going to have to explain what's going on with that whole situation, and there's a ton to add to it. So yeah, that's going to come out in a few days. I hope that you all do enjoy as things launch. So see you all in the next one, and have a good day.